I still remember the way it happened. One of those moments that burrows so deeply into your memory that no matter how much you wish you could erase it, it stays. We were sitting at a dinner gathering, a casual Friday night among friends. The laughter was light, the wine glasses half full, and conversations crisscrossed from careers to vacations to silly memories. Then, without warning, Sarah, my wife, leaned back in her chair and smirked in a way that told me trouble was coming. "You know," she said loud enough for everyone at the table to hear, "he's really not that great in bed." The words hung in the air like smoke, impossible to ignore. At first, I thought she was joking, maybe trying to get a laugh. But when I looked at her, I saw no trace of humor in her expression. Her eyes gleamed with something else entirely, mockery. The table went silent. Forks hovered above plates. I felt heat rise to my face, a slow, crawling burn of humiliation. My wife, the woman I trusted with my most vulnerable self, had just torn me open in front of our closest friends. I wanted to shrink, disappear, pretend it hadn't been said. But before I could even gather my words, another voice cut through the tension. "That's not true," came the firm, almost defiant reply. It was Emily, one of Sarah's closest friends, sitting just across from us. The room shifted. All eyes swung to Emily. Her cheeks flushed, but her gaze didn't falter. Sarah's mouth opened, then closed, as if she couldn't quite process what had just been said. I froze. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat. Questions flooded my mind. Why would Emily say that? How could she know? Was she trying to protect me? Or had she just revealed something far more explosive? Sarah's face twisted, a mix of shock and rage. She set her glass down hard, the sharp clink making everyone flinch. "Excuse me?" she demanded, her voice cracking under the strain. Emily swallowed, her eyes flicking toward me, then back to Sarah. "I just mean, sometimes we say things we don't mean. You shouldn't embarrass him like that." But her hesitation told me something different, something dangerous. The room seemed to tighten around us, every breath shallow, every second stretched long and heavy. Sarah's fork clattered against her plate as she leaned forward, her voice edged with accusation. "Emily, what exactly are you trying to say?" Emily's composure faltered, but only slightly. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and gave a small, uneasy smile. "I'm just saying, you don't tear someone down like that, especially your husband. It's cruel." But her words were laced with a subtle undertone, one Sarah caught immediately. My wife's eyes narrowed, her lips pressing into a thin, hard line. "Funny," she said. "You sound like you know more than you should." The tension at the table was unbearable. Friends shifted uncomfortably in their seats, some pretending to check their phones, others pushing food around their plates to avoid eye contact. The air was thick with unspoken questions, each one circling the same thought. What exactly did Emily mean by "that's not true"? I sat frozen, my mind a storm. Emily's defense of me could have been simple kindness. But the way she said it, the conviction in her voice, the flicker of something almost protective, it didn't feel casual. It felt personal. Sarah pushed back her chair abruptly, the legs screeching against the hardwood floor. "You know what? I don't appreciate being undermined in my own home." Her tone was sharp, biting. "If you've got something to confess, Emily, now's the time." Emily's face drained of color. She opened her mouth, closed it, then looked down at her plate as though the answers were written there. "I don't owe you an explanation," she said softly, but the damage was done. The room buzzed with restless energy. Everyone knew something deeper lurked beneath the surface. I tried to steady myself, my thoughts ricocheting between disbelief and suspicion. Had Emily just jeopardized her friendship with Sarah out of pity for me? Or was it something far more complicated? Sarah stood, her voice rising. "You've crossed a line tonight, both of you." Her gaze sliced through me. Then Emily, as if we were co-conspirators in some hidden betrayal. I felt my stomach knot. Whatever truth lay beneath Emily's words, tonight it had been dragged into the open, and nothing, not apologies, not excuses, would be able to shove it back into the dark again. The guests began murmuring, their discomfort thick in the air. Some excused themselves to the bathroom, others shifted uneasily, waiting for the night to end. But Sarah wasn't finished. Her anger had cracked open, and there was no containing it now. "Tell me, Emily," Sarah pressed, her voice sharp, trembling. "Why are you so quick to defend my husband? How would you even know what's true?" Emily lifted her head, her eyes steady now, no longer wavering. "Because I've known him for years," she said simply. "And I know what kind of man he is." The words landed with the weight of a hammer. Gasps rippled through the room. My pulse roared in my ears as Sarah recoiled, her face pale and stricken. You've crossed the line," Sarah stammered. Her voice was shaking, but her rage burned bright in her eyes. "Don't you dare stand there and act like you know him better than I do." I opened my mouth to speak, to somehow cut through the chaos, but the words refused to form. Because deep down I wondered too. Emily's defense had been too sharp, too personal. There was history in her tone, something Sarah and the others had picked up on instantly. Emily stood slowly, her chair scraping back. "Maybe I said too much," she admitted, her voice quieter now. "But I won't sit here and watch you humiliate him just to feel powerful." She glanced at me, and in that brief look was something Sarah could never unsee. Loyalty, warmth, maybe even longing. Sarah's breath hitched. She pointed toward the door with a trembling hand. "Get out, both of you, now." The command shattered the gathering. People began gathering coats, whispering hurried goodbyes. Emily hesitated, looking at me once more before she finally walked toward the door. I remained seated, my body heavy, my chest tight. Sarah's words echoed in my mind, mixing with Emily's. The truth of the evening was undeniable. Something fundamental had broken. Later that night, when the house was empty and silence pressed down around us, Sarah whispered, "What aren't you telling me?" But I had no answer that would soothe her. Because the truth was, after tonight, nothing between us, between any of us, would ever be the same again.